watch.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the second watch. We have James Edward Raggi IV here. Going to be a great show. We're actually skipping the usual news that we go through because A, I really don't have anything to report, and B, James is up at like 5:30 a.m. to join us, and we really appreciate that. So
yeah, here I am performatively flexing my jaws, like I got my mouth working, and you're running this intro, and it's like, oh god.
Thank you for being here, very much. I appreciate it. Everybody, chat, Matt, me, appreciate it. When we were talking about doing this show and we were making the list of dream guests.
Yes.
And we were like, these are the year out guests. These are the guys that we might be able to get into it in a year. Your name, Macris, and a couple others came up. So you are kind of like we can end the show now after we talk to you for a few hours. Show's over. Yes. We've accomplished our goals.
Yeah, the bucket
what
list.
What do you mean dream guest? How hard is it? How hard is it to get RPG people to do a live stream? I mean,
we're discovering not hard at all.
Yeah.
In fact, if you have a show, they'll call you a lot and let you know they need on.
Yeah. Yeah. When we first started this, we had a lot of conversation because I was a little reticent. I was like, I don't know. I understood live streams is kind of like where things are going to be going for YouTube and whatnot. But I'm like, yeah, it'd be great to get guests. But like, I have such a small channel because at the time we started, this was less than 1,000. I was like, I don't know if anyone's going to even care. Like, who are you? You know. But then all of a sudden, it was just like I bumped into Alexander Macris at Arnicon, and I'm like, hey, I'm a fan. I was wondering, I have this YouTube channel. Would you like to come on? And he's like, sure. I didn't even need to like sell it. I was like, oh, okay. And then, talking to you just this past North Texas Con, I was just like, hey, would you like to be on the show? And you're like, sure. So I really appreciate it.
Game designers are such greedy whores for attention that you could probably send an email to Gary Gygax's old address and his ghost will show up to be
So, I think you might be right. Before we get started, I really kind of want to. A few years ago during COVID, I was dumb me. My job was playing guitar in honky tonks for a living, and when COVID happened, I was really bored. And I got on Facebook and said, "Anybody want to start a podcast?" And I started the podcast like every other dude my age with no wife and no job did. And me and Matt met. And when we first started the podcast, Matt had been running this 5e game just forever. And he was miserable. He hated it, but he didn't know what to do. And we hadn't even heard the term OSR. And then one night, Matt gets on. He's like, guys, I found my game. I found my game. And I said, cool, what is it? And he said, it's called Lamentations of the Flame Princess.
Yeah.
And I said, that's a fucking long title, bro.
True story.
About 2 weeks later, he sent everybody a copy of this. So I just want you to know that you're dealing with a friendly audience right now.
Okay.
And your game has been it's been a lot of fun. It's great to have seen Matt jump out of his shell, and he's like, "This game is me." And then I open it up and I see some statue and a woman, and I'm like, "Really? Is this you, Matt?" So
yeah.
See, over the years, I've looked at the sales of the rule book, and it's sold a lot of copies. But then I talk to people, and I realize, oh, I've sold all those copies to like 5 people.
Funny.
$2 super chat real quick. Hey, thanks for curious. Don't end the show. I've just got a membership, and you all also just gifted one, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks,
but that
guys.
was for $2 Australian, so that doesn't count as money. Come on.
We're not picky.
I have no idea what Australian dollars
Obviously
are worth,
not.
but we have a lot of them. We have a lot of them. So I know Matt's going to get into the nitty gritty and the nuts and bolts, but I just want to ask a general question. What possessed you to write your own game? And your angle on it is you have a singular voice. It's very unique. What was it that you were just like, I'm going to do this?
Well, I'd done some amateur publication stuff, just like zine kind of things. In the late 2000s, I did a couple things, just going to the local copy shop and having them running up stuff without even proper covers. Just basically photocopied and stapled things. And then I found out about this scheme, this program that the Finnish government had to encourage foreigners to start a business. And it wasn't a lot of money. It basically pays your rent for 6 months, or as I ended up getting it extended for 9 months. So it pays your rent for 9 months so you can concentrate on making your business. And you got to go through this application process and do interviews and all this stuff. And so it's like, hey, I'll tell them I'm making role-playing books, and then I won't have to get a real job for 6 months, 6 more months, because I just come out of integration school. And so, I went through all the processes and everything, and they seemed excited. I wasn't wanting to start a restaurant, which is apparently the normal thing foreigners do here. And it's like, okay, I'm approved. Yay. And so I thought I'll just put out a couple of adventures and stuff, and then go, okay, well, the business didn't work. I have to get a job now, but be able to coast, all summer. And then people liked what I was doing, and it was like, oh shit. And I really
now you have a job.
Yeah, and I release a few adventures, and people like it, and it's like, okay, I see the potential, because I thought that the audience was going to be so small that for Death Frost Doom, the first thing we released, every time we got an order, we were printing it out and then stapling it, folding it, and trimming it by hand. That only lasted a couple weeks, but that's how little I thought any of this had any legs, and so then after releasing a few adventures, I realized that, like, stores and things, because like, okay, if we're gonna do this, we're going to, in order to get into stores, you can't be releasing adventures for dead games or games that themselves aren't in stores. And those early adventures were generic OSR, so they were compatible with old D&D or Osric or Labyrinth Lord or whatever. But like Labyrinth Lord was a little bit in distribution, but the other ones no. So Why is the store going to carry my stuff? So it's like, I got to think, okay, well, if I'm going to try to be an actual business, I need to get stuff in stores. And if they're not taking just the adventures, I've got to make my own game. And that's why there's an LOTFP rulebook.
Real quick, $2 from Flint. Thank you very much for this momentous occasion. Thank you, sir. At those early days, you said you were writing some earlier stuff besides Death Frost Doom. Like, so were you like tapped into like the OSR, like all those forum poets like Dragonfoot and all that at the time, and like chatting with those guys, or was this just sort of like you made a thing, put it out into the void, and then?
I don't know that I was chatting with all those guys, but I was definitely on the forums when they were talking about the stuff that became Osric and Basic Fantasy and stuff. I wasn't part of the creation of the OSR, but I was definitely there to witness it, like in the places where it was brewing.
where was so then okay, so you made this game, and this is where I wanted to. There was a clear because I've started collecting your stuff like well, you know, I've mentioned this, like I have a lot of what you had, and I've been like scouring the internet for stuff.
It's not play. You're a fanboy, bro.
No, I'm totally a fanboy. I'm totally a fanboy. But well, I noticed, especially after I read like the anthology Fire, which has I think a lot of your earlier stuff, and then you compare it to like Death. You know, there's a clear to me. There seems to be like a clear shift where you go from like the earlier stuff that does have dwarves and elves in it to all of a sudden like England 1600s. Like what was there like a catalyst to do this? Was like there's like aha moment, like this is what I need to do, or was this just sort of like a natural transition? Like where did that? What was the rationale from one to the other?
Well, after I made the first rule set, which was the deluxe box edition, and then that flies out the door, and then it's like, oh wait, I got to do this for real now. And that's when I decided the Grindhouse edition, which was going to be the big print run, the first time I'm using a proper big printer instead of a local digital press. You know, that's when it's like, okay, if I'm really going to do this full time, how am I going to do it? Because I don't just want to sit here and churn out stuff that would have a little bit darker, but basically would have fit 70s D&D. It's like, that's if I get trapped doing that, it'll be no different than just going to an office and having a boss yell at me. So it's like, okay, what do I want to do? It's like, okay, well, you like this horror movie heavy metal stuff, lean into that. There's not so much of it in role playing. And then I found out why. Because anyone that tries it will maybe not so much these days, but oh God, the reaction some people had. And the historical thing was just a lot of like people like the idea of like what setting are you going to use if you're doing this stuff, and creating an original setting is just like, why? Just because I have this interest in history, and like here's a thing where all the gaming tropes will fit into with exploration and unknown areas, and and it's an awful time to live, so it fits into the more horror oriented thing. So just go with that instead of expecting people to care about here's the kingdom of Gadzooks that has it's right. France. You're in France, and that seemed to be, and I would think that that's easier because nobody uses published setting. I say that, but it's like in the OSR, nobody just uses a published setting. They always adapt it to their own campaign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I would think it's easier to figure out how to adapt France than garbledy-gook with lots of apostrophes from an adventure module and put it in your thing. But get resistance on that too. It's like, fuck's sake, guys.
Well, the implied setting, I think, actually contributes to the vibe that Lamentations has, but I've also noticed like some of the stuff that you've published, like from Zarkov Kowalski, for example, or Zach's stuff that's not even set in the 1600s. He's like creating his own little pocket dimensions almost, right? So, I guess what I'm asking.
Nebula fits.
Oh yeah, well,
Nebula
we'll be getting
well.
to that. Yeah, we'll definitely be getting to that. But like, so when you were, I guess, well, let me back up. When did you start actually like looking for other authors? Like, what was that catalyst?
That was 2010 that I announced it. Because I remember I was going off to Spiel in Essen, the big game fair there. And I was And I remember I was at the hotel computer making, typing up the announcements about, I forget whether I announced Jeffrey first for Carcosa or Zach first for Vorenheim. But yeah, announced them then. And the next spring, I released Vorenheim. And then the end of the year was Carcosa. So it was Carcosa and Isle of the Unknown. And and then once that worked, it's like, okay, let's go.
Well, so that's so those three authors were kind of like the first, and they almost were an experiment, like, hey, let's see if this works for your business, kind of thing.
Well, it's kind of a thing. It's like, okay, I'm doing a business now.
God damn it, I have a job.
Yeah, I got a job, and it's like, okay, am I gonna write everything? that seemed like a bad idea. So it's like, okay, so let's try to have other people write stuff. That way I don't have to do everything.
Well, speaking of Carcosa, pull out my copy. Was
the copy I have.
Oh, I know. I mentioned to my wife, actually, how you described the slipcase as eye-wateringly expensive. I was told that was probably going to be a dual Christmas birthday gift.
Well, it's actually, with the latest video I put out, I had to describe it as bowel evacuatingly expensive.
Yeah. Did Carcosa, was that, I just want to, the history of it was a little iffy. Was it originally written before you got your hands on it?
Yeah. It was first released in 2018 to a very interesting reaction. It was people were on the old school message boards. I still remember this one guy saying somebody needs to call the FBI and get this guy arrested. and so little did I know where this would go. But when I announced Zach and Jeffrey McKinney back to back, I started thinking that I'm gathering up a rogues gallery. Mm-hmm. And instead of being superhero enemies, it's like, oh God, I'm now the League of Supervillains, because Jeffrey was super controversial because Carcosa had elements people didn't like. And then Zach was controversial just because of the porn star angle. And everybody was all, oh, what if they bring the satanic panic back? Do we want to be associated with porn? And so it's like, okay, I'm gathering up the controversial people, which, looking back now, there was no real controversy back then.
Right.
It certainly came, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Carcosa, so you basically reprint it, right? And
yeah, the original one that Jeffrey did was a small booklet that was designed to mimic how the original D&D booklets looked.
Yeah. Oh, right on. Yeah, I think I don't have a copy of that. That probably, hunting one would probably be like, I don't know, crazy expensive. But I just want to point out, this actually has a real warning label: Wizards of the Coast, take notice. But yeah.
Anyway. We've gotten rid of the warning for this edition. We've gotten rid of the warning because fuck that. But there, the warning, it has the description, contains explicit descriptions of and illustrations of vile black magic and violence. This new edition says contains epic descriptions and illustrations of vile black magic and violence.
Nice. And so you're re-releasing Carcosa. Like, we can do a little shilling here for you. What's new about this re-release?
New about the re-release is it's expanded. I think, why don't I ever research this correctly? I believe it's 176 new pages of content. that's added, because it's it's a re-release and expansion of the previous version of Carcosa, and it's got 176 new pages plus 2 great big poster maps on the inside of each cover that fold out. 3 different covers, 3 variant covers, limited edition. Each one's limited to 222 copies, 200 of them each to be sold individually, and 22 sets of a special slipcase edition that have all 3 covers in them.
And I think you've answered this. You actually mentioned this on another video. What was the inspiration to do it this way?
Well, Jeffrey contacted me end of last year saying, hey, I got an idea. Let's do a big deluxe edition, and we'll put the most blasphemous thing on the cover, and we'll do this and that. And I was like, well, if we're going to do that, these 4 adventures that you released on your own in 2016, how about we include those? Because it's an additional quadrant of Carcosa. The original Carcosa book had 1 quadrant. This is another quadrant. But the challenge there is, for some reason, when he released those, they were using AD&D First Edition as the rule set. Oh. So there was some, and if we're going to re-release them as 1 book, I need to translate that back into old Carcosan, let's say. And so there's some of that gets dicey because Carcosa doesn't use the D&D spell system, whereas these adventures did. So it's like, how do we explain that? So we had to come up with an explanation, to put in the book. Why is the magic a bit different here than here? It's like, well, we got that. Little things like that. That's why it took. I thought this was going to be out in March. It's like, okay, well, we've got all the material, just throw it together and get it out there. No, nothing's easy, nothing's simple, nothing works.
That seems to be the theme with all of the creators that we've met, is that nothing is simple. A lot of things start out with, well, what I thought I would do was ... and it never seems to work out. Matt, I don't mean to interrupt your flow. I know you're the Lamentations guy, and in fact, we've had people come on the show and be like, "You're the Lamentations guy, dude. You love that game. You make the videos," which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, but you get to be the "what the hell, dude" guy.
I'm not,
and he does say it every now and again, especially when I start talking about Death, Love, Doom or something.
Well, when me and Matt first came to your table at North Texas, I think my first words to you is, "This is Matt. He loves your shit, bro." and I like it. I will admit, I'm a fairly timid. I'm not a timid person. I'm easily shockable, right? Like, I'm not a big horror movie guy. Whatever. So every once in a while I'll be looking through your book and I'll be like, whoa, shit, what the fuck is that? Which I think is your goal, right? I think that's kind of part of it. But there's never been anything I've read that I haven't enjoyed. And what I really want to ask about is, and I'm sorry, Matt, I'm going to throw this all
challenge.
Yeah.
I'm almost scared. But you did some really unique things mechanically with this game. It's not just, at first I looked at it and I was like, okay, I know what this guy's trying to do. But then when I look at the rules for Lamentations, like, you made some very savvy decisions, like with the specialist and kind of how you treat the demi-humans and all that. Where did all that come from? Was this like a math problem you had in your head? What were some of the design ideas?
Well, the specialist is an adaptation of the 2nd edition Thief, because you got to build your skills with points there. And the idea that Thief as a character class is ridiculous, because all the other character classes, I'm a fighter, I'm a magic user, I'm a thief. Get the fuck out of here, thief.
Right.
Who's going to announce themselves as the thief? So it's like the specialist, and with the different skills, you could, there are different things you could be. Yeah, that's basically that. The demi-humans, I was trying to discourage their use, because if you'll notice in the adventures and the supplements, they're almost never present. But they're in the rule book mainly because that was created in the spirit of the OSR is all greatly intercompatible. So you have to let people know what do you do with their elves and halflings and dwarves in this game.
Yeah, I definitely, when I'm like online chatting with people or gaming online with people, the demi-humans, if you're not in like using the setting, or excuse me, the rule set in a classic fantasy setting, people just end up like reskinning them into something like, I don't know. I think they like the elf is like the dilettante or something, because you got that foppish character in the book. And speaking,
that was designed so people would look at that and say, "I'm not playing that."
I got people who were like, I'll play that, but maybe I just play with weirdos. I don't know. But
yet you made them popular somehow. I don't think it deters people. Yeah. I think your angle on things is some people look at that and go, "Oh yeah."
Well, the art. Well, I'll tell you. Like when I discovered this thing called the OSR, I started searching for it, and this was in 2019. So you type in OSR, and then and I'm saying, oh wow, there's people who are playing old school games, and I'm walking through my game store like a couple days later, and I see the book, the core rule book, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And I start looking through, and I see the art, and I'm like, people are making games like this. This is badass. So of course I Google Lamentations of the Flame Princess in 2019.
Oh dear.
And all the stuff comes up.
Oh dear.
And I'm like, wow, this is pretty controversial. Now I really want to play it. And I went back to the store the next day and grabbed everything that they had. But the art, and Gary and I talk about this a lot, like, but the art definitely is what drew me in, because it's not like, you know, 3rd edition D&D and 4th edition D&D had like that cartoony look. And when I see like some of the stuff from like Yannick Bouchard, for example, like it's a little bit, it's more realistic, and actually reminds me of like the 2nd edition art that I loved so much back in the 90s. So I want to ask, someone actually asked a question that's going to be, I'm going to bring up in just a second here, but like, how important is the art to you when you're putting together a project, whether it's yours or something you're working with somebody else?
It depends on the project, honestly. Yeah, it depends on the project. Some it's absolutely central. In others, it's just like, okay, we got to fill some holes in the layout. Not every project strikes me as like a visual. I have a plan, and I know that's as honest as I could put it. I'm not going to name names on projects or anything, but yeah. But even those, it's like, okay, let's do what we can with this and see if we can make it visually interesting. And yeah, it's just and some of the things are based, and of course I don't have unlimited resources, so that limits things. Well, I will mention the adventure White Power, WIGHT.
Mm-hmm.
You'll notice that all of the artwork is in silhouette.
Right.
And that was done as a cost, and that was done because of cost and time reasons. Like the deadline for like the slate of books that was attached to was going to press soon, and we didn't have the art, and we didn't have the time, and we didn't have a lot of money, so I just went to an artist and said, okay, what if you didn't have to put details in any of the art, you just did everything in silhouette? But I think it works. I think it's visually distinctive and interesting.
I would agree. Yeah, yeah. Is there any, and Snake Oil Sean, I'm about to ask you a question, but I got to follow up here. Has there ever been a project that started with the art, or did it always start with like a manuscript or an idea for a game mechanic or an adventure?
Maybe. Oh, see, now I gotta look. I'm not sure about Zach's stuff. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, the Bard book. I think that art was done before I wrote Word One. Um, Actually, that Zach was supposed to write a Bard book before the Bard apocalypse, and I'd said, "Oh, look at this art I have for the Bard," and of course he does his own art for his own project. So I'm
Sure.
looking at that, going, "What the fuck?" Um, but when that ended up not happening, and then I just last year did that. So yeah, that was art only before anything else.
Cool,
Uh,
cool, cool.
Vaginas are magic. I guess not. The no, because the book was pretty much finished before we did the photo shoot for that cover. So I guess yeah.
All right,
There are times where like the project when the project gets going, and then the art ideas come together really quick. But and then of course I've got some projects that aren't finished. Some aren't very far along that I had commissioned art for because I thought, well, if I pay for the art, I'll be motivated to get the text done.
Well, Snake Oil Sean, $5 super chat. He's got a question here, and for some reason it is not popping up. There we go. Hail all, has James ever published or considered publishing a book solely of collected Lamentations art? Thank you for the super chat.
Because a lot of the art is digital, it's done to size. Whoop. And whoop. Publishing a book of A5 art doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Yeah.
Have you gotten that kind of question before? I mean, again,
yeah, all the time. But it's like they aren't paintings that we could just have, that we could just have it printed at a bigger size. And you'd want a bigger size if it's an art book, but yeah, the digital art is done to size. So you can't blow the artwork up and yeah.
Cool. All right, I got another super chat I want to get to here. $5. Question for Raggi. What are the more recent books you worked on that you're most proud of, and why the trombone?
Okay. The Eric Azan book is kind of personal because it's like the most direct expression of the metal attitude, and then I have the introduction, which all of those stories are true, but of course I'm only using the stories which make me out to be a complete maniac. I mean, that's intentional. I'm not putting those stories in there so people think, oh, Jim's a cool guy. The intention was collecting only the stories that make me seem like I'm out of my fucking mind because that's what the book is. And so, so I really like that one. Don't Fuck the Priest is another one that I think that the concept and the art and how it all came together really well. I just wish boxes weren't so expensive to print. And why the trombone? Because I was thinking it's not a trombone. I think it's a 16th century instrument called the hackbutt. I think it's called. I don't know. It's been a while since I looked that up because I was looking for period instruments, and the cover is designed to be ridiculous because here's this. I don't even know how you would describe the outfit, but then it's got the leather boots with the spikes on them, metal style, and she's got this misshapen trombone, and it's like, there's your bard. It's like, because I hate the idea. I hate the idea of the charismatic minstrel. Because even years and years ago, when I did the Grindhouse set, there's the one picture of the bard in there, and he's just this grubby, graying guy with the shiny boots. The boots are the only thing clean on him, and And I think this was like an artist that I just picked off the internet, and she didn't do exactly what I'd wanted, because I wanted it to be real obvious that all the girls that he's perving on were underage, with the idea that this is a really unsavory character, but that didn't really come across. Yeah, so the idea of the charismatic bard that has magic, I hate it. I hate it. And so I've always a sack butt. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's the answer.
As a traveling musician, none of us were ever pretty or that charming, just so you know.
Yeah.
And our intentions were never lawful good. Anyway.
Yeah, and that original bard I had in the art, I called him Blackie Richmore. And Richie Blackmore, just like this past week, has actually gotten on stage and played with Deep Purple again.
I saw that. It's exciting.
I cried a little bit when I saw that. It was
like wonderful.
It's like they finally got their act together before it was too late for everybody. I was like, yes, good. How hard was that? One song, that's all you need. You don't need to live with each other or tour with each other. Just one song once, just to show you old men can put your shit aside for one song.
One song. Yeah. No, I saw that, and I cried a little bit myself. I was really happy that happened. I'm curious. We had a question from Cloaker, and he was
just about to.
You want to put that up real quick?
Yeah. So he says, "Good Evolve. Here, post knee surgery, pumped up on hydrocodone. James, my wife and I just watched Verhoeven's Flesh and Blood tonight. Did that movie influence you at all?"
I haven't seen that one.
Oh.
Well, my question was a little more broad. I was kind of curious, like what, I know that back in the day when D&D was written, all the influences were supposedly just books, but us younger guys, we've got books and movies and comic books. And I'm just really curious, like what were the things that kind of led to, when you look back, what are the things that really influenced Lamentations and its world, or whatever you want to call it?
Well, the first release, the first actual Lamentations release, the creature generator was done before I became an actual business. But Death Frost Doom is basically D&D plus Evil Dead 2 plus Night of the Living Dead. And Hellraiser is a big influence on the whole thing, and the Clive Barker Books of Blood. Because it was weird, because when I saw that, when I first saw Hellraiser, it was 1987, so I would have been 12, so I was like prepubescent Jim. So I was like missing all the sex undertones of that. Which is 13. Weird looking back now.
Yeah,
I was 13, and I understood there was a lot of stuff going on, but I didn't quite understand.
I think I didn't see it when it first came out, but I did see it like a year or two later. So I was probably around 11, 12 when I saw it. I knew exactly what was going on. And that's when I kind of realized that there is a fear and terror is more than just like some guy stabbing you to death. That while you're walking through the woods, there's something really intimate about murder and horror, and that sort of connection between sex and violence. And then like a couple of years later, many years later, actually, I started watching one of my favorite movies is Event Horizon, and it's just like it's like all right there, just pure nightmare, So, but yeah, that Hellraiser's a good one. I think that kind of like fucked me up actually. But
yeah, and then I got into the Books of Blood not long after, and that's a bit more explicit with the sex part. I think in the what is it? In the Hills, the City, I think is the short story. I think that was my first encounter with gay sex in any media.
Oh wow.
And well, the sex part of that story isn't screwed up, isn't the screwed up part of the story. So thank goodness. or else who knows how that would have warped me. But getting into the books of blood as a very young teenager is interesting. Like, it's like when your entire conception of sex is just what you've seen in movies, and now books of blood. It's a
you
hell
never
of a
had a
thing.
chance, bro.
Yeah.
you never had a chance, did you? It's funny. I think the big topic nowadays is generational divide. And I really think the generational divide is when kids stopped having, Stephen King novels or Clive Barker novels or whatever, they would be walking to class with their Trapper Keepers and their textbook and this fucking thing that anybody today would ban or protest, and teachers were just so happy that kids were reading. Oh, it's Clive Barker's. Oh, great. I'm so glad you're reading,
Yeah.
And I do think that is a generational divide where people are so afraid of what are you actually taking in. They'd rather you not use your brain than use it for something they find what's the word these days? Problematic. I hate that fucking word.
Yeah.
I can't stand it.
Yeah, I think the real generational divide is people whose brains formed before the internet and people whose brains formed entirely on the internet.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And I have 3 young boys, and I'm going to tell you, no matter how hard you try to get them to read, and there's something different about these kids, man. They're different. They're different. Run, hide. So,
well, I remember reading The Stand, Stephen King's The Stand, and I know a lot of people don't like Stephen King. I actually think The Stand's a good book because it's like sort of this like dark.
He wasn't always
thing.
Crazy. He just it was the car wreck. I blame the car wreck.
Yeah. But like even then, like while I was starting to like develop an enjoyment of being scared, and I think that's like part of like being a horror fan. Like you like being scared, especially when I don't think you'd like it when someone mugs you and puts a gun in your face, but like that sort of safe scare, being like you like being in that sort of environment. But yeah, I look back at that and I'm just like, yeah, I knew it was just a story. I just think people today are way too sensitive and aren't giving kids enough credit.
Well, and not only that, parents don't want to parent. Like, here's the thing, Mr. Raggi, I'm going to tell you the truth. If I walked into my little closet-sized Walden Books where I grew up and pulled Lamentations, Flame Princess off when I was 12, my mother would have been like, fuck no, put that back, right? And she would have been well within her rights to do so, right? Parents don't want to parent. They want the whole world to be nerfed, so much so that adults or preteens or, whatever you want. And I'm going to tell you the things that encouraged me to read and encouraged me to think were always when I thought I was getting away with something, right? Like I grew up in Texas. I had an aunt who literally satanic panic burnt my cousin's D&D stuff. What we couldn't rescue. That's just growing up in Texas in the 80s, right? That's just the way it is. And I think they're missing out. Like every once in a while, when I'm talking to my kids about role-playing games, I do leave Lamentations out. Like I want them to be corrupted just that much. You know what I mean? I want
Groomer.
Well, you got to brew a little recklessness into them. Like you can't keep them in a bubble. But yeah,
do drugs, something, please.
I actually not too long ago, my kid was home. It was a Friday night. He's a sophomore in high school this year. He's just about to start. And I told him, I'm like, would you please go to your friend's house? I will buy you guys a 12-pack. Just get drunk in his backyard and do something stupid, please. No, man, we're going to play video games and watch Game of Thrones. It's like,
Game of Thrones, I don't know. But, yeah.
Why are there so many boobs? Why do you need boobs
because
in a TV
boobs
show?
are great.
Yeah, they're
because they're great. They're magic, just like vaginas. Um,
Speaking of that, actually, I
sorry.
wanted to ask you about a lot of your free RPG Day stuff that you used to do. Like
I was allowed to do it.
when you, yeah, yeah. I actually think you should try again. I don't know, but I don't know. That's a conversation for another day, I guess, maybe. But um, you clearly were doing things very radically different than everybody else who participated. What was the motivation for that? Like you're getting like actually like these nice physical hardback books. Like what was your
Well, the
thought
first one
process?
was Better Than Any Man, which is like what 80 pages or however many pages that was.
I think it's a little bit more than that. It's like a full on campaign book.
Yeah. Well, they were telling us, well, do a quick start with 16-page quick start rules with little adventure. I'm like, what good is that?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to do a real thing, and suddenly it blows up into this huge campaign thing. I'm just going to give away for free, and talk about the best advertisement. Like the GenCon catalog this year, a 48-page book just full of adventures and just a few pages of catalog. And I'm passing that out, and there were a couple people that came back saying, "Yeah, I looked at this, and it's like if this is what you're giving away for free, then okay, let's see your actual stuff." Because like, does anyone pick up the other free RPG Day stuff and think, oh, this is impressive. I'm impressed by this work. And that was the idea. I'm this tiny little publisher. And if I'm going to get my stuff in front of people, it's got to be actual product. Now, sometimes we get, maybe the Doom Cave of the Crystal Headed Children. Maybe that's not the best first contact, but it does get the attitude across. Or Slugs, that was a ridiculous thing to put out, but that was also a fun thing to do.
I love
Like
slugs.
people are going to pick up that book and go, "What?" it's just 15 or 16 different varieties of giant slug, including like the muscle slug that's got like big Hulk Hogan arms. And it is just like, what? And everything should have some element in some way of making you go, what? Why would these people do this? This is crazy. I think that's important. If you pick up a creative work, if you go to a movie, if you pick up a game book, if you read a novel, if you listen to a band and you think, "Yep, that's exactly what I expected it to be."
What a waste of money.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is totally off subject, but that is, even I went through a hippie jam band phase. I'm sorry, I did. I still kind of like Widespread Panic, but one of the reasons was because you never knew what you were getting. Like if I went to see the Scorpions or whatever, right? Like I knew I was getting Rock You Like a Hurricane. If you go see these hippies, you have no idea what's happening. And I think that's a really important element to a lot of things. Matt tells me about the games that he's played that you've ran at North Texas. And he'll be like, and you know what happened next? Like, I don't know, dude. Like, I'm sweating. What happened, bro? Like, what happened? And I just think that's an element that not too many people think of. Is that something that happened consciously? Is that just who you are? It seems to the other things, Lamentations that maybe you didn't write that I've read, it kind of all has that weird, like, I never expected this or this oh shit factor. Is that something you purposely cultivated, or is that just come naturally?
Well, it's intentional. I mean, it doesn't happen by accident.
Truth.
It's like, oops, I've made the sex dungeon of Dr. Intercourse. How'd that happen?
That was an awesome adventure, and I can't wait to buy it.
Oh.
It's but there when I'm going to go there has to be an element of fear. I have to be nervous, because if it doesn't make me nervous, it's like, should I be doing this? Are people going to like this? It's like, if I don't have those questions, it's not worth doing. There has to be an element of the unknown, of chaos in the concept, in the execution, or else how do I expect to amaze anybody with the final result?
Brian just reminded me I should remind everybody, hey, hit like and subscribe. All right.
Okay, I see a comment, and I want that comment to be front and center. Not going to lie. That one.
Okay.
Put that up.
Yep.
Okay.
No,
now,
totally. Go ahead. Yep.
Hopefully this person's still here. What don't you get? Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
That's okay. Because that's the interesting thing, because it's nice that you're saying, oh, I love your stuff and I love blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, it's, but there's like no challenge to it. There's no, it's like, defend yourself. We're like, I say the sex dungeon of Dr. Intercourse, we have a laugh. But yeah, people think that's strange. It's not normal.
Well, that is true. And just real quick, I have pinned a bunch of comments, chat. I'll be getting to them, including some super chats and Rumble rants. But I find myself, and this is actually to Brother Anselm, you've asked a question. Does any of you have kids? I do, and my friends do, and I still like sneak Lamentations modules into our campaigns.
Well, I don't understand
not.
the context of that question, because not everything. I have kids. I spend a lot of time with my kids. I do pay attention to what the media that my kids take in, and not everything is for kids.
Yes. Yeah.
And not only that, there's this weird thing. So I might be a little older than y'all, and I was raised by I'm a Gen X kid that was kicked outside for like 12 hours a day. But not everything is for kids. And sometimes when you want to watch a movie that's not appropriate for your kids, you send them to their room. It's not punishment. It's just life.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. And here's the real thing. When your kids get intellectually curious about the world, they are going to sneak down. They are going to look at that shit they don't understand. And it's going to make them think, and it's going to make them question. And thank you. Thank you to every dirty book I wasn't supposed to see and every subject I wasn't supposed to think about. Because now my opinions come from a place of real curiosity followed by investigation. So if you're intimating that I'm not supposed to look at shit that my kids shouldn't look at, go fuck yourself. I'm an adult. Like, I made it. I'm old. I survived. I can look at whatever I want and deal with the consequences.
Yeah, and
well, at GenCon, there's plenty of people that stop by, and they got their kids with them, and it's like, yeah, I'm looking just for stuff to game with my kids, and I was like, this isn't the table for you. There's, I don't get spicy. I don't get spicy about it. The comment says, let's get spicy. It's just a fact. Okay, this isn't the table for you, because at GenCon, there's literally 1,000 other tables for you to go to for that.
Right.
It's like,
go
this
play 5e Dark
different.
Sun.
yeah. Well, and this is kind of going to like one of the reasons why I, like Lamentations so much is not just because, oh, hey, there's a badass art piece of a, Medusa that seduced the guy and then last minute pulled off the mask and turned into stone as he's, it's the fact that it is something so different that actually challenges your players. And challenges me as a game master. Like I tell this to a lot of people, not often publicly, because I don't want to, offend anybody who are trying hard to write stuff, I myself included. But like anybody can scribble a goblin warren and put 5 goblins here, 6 over there, this, that, and the other thing. You pick up something from Lamentations, and there's a wide range of stuff. Not everything is the spicy stuff. Some of it's just good old fashioned scary
I
horror
say on
stuff.
average it's spicier than most stuff.
Oh, sure,
On
sure.
average.
but you're gonna get challenged, and that just, I don't know, to me that's interesting. That's what I want to spend my money on. Like, I'm not gonna spend money on, freaking Minds of Fandelver or whatever the fuck it's called. So but that's my defense of it, and why I think it's totally it's important to actually have in the hobby, because whether you like it or not, it's still challenging everybody, like up your game in a sense. And I do mean that sincerely. I look at Lamentations as sort of like this upper thing, and I want to get into that eventually without getting
there is
too pretentious point. But go ahead. What?
Barrows and Borderlands latest comment. It's this is an important point. Not every module is sex themed. There's a wide range of horror, comedy, adult, and adventuring themes. That is true. And it's a problem with how to talk about everything. Like Nebulith and the Disastrum don't have this sort of content in them. Those are for more general audiences, but it's the goat fucker problem. You fuck one goat, that's what you're about. It doesn't matter what else you do in your life. And so when you talk about Lamentations, it's like you zero in. It's like, this is what's different. This is what's different in a very easily identifiable way. And so suddenly that's what everything's about. And it's like, well, it's a little bit about that, but it's not all the way about it. Right? Yeah. I don't know what to do about that. To me, it's not a problem because it's all good. Other people, though, if they're looking and they see just the freak show, but it's like, I don't know what to do about that because I'm not getting rid of the freak show. But that does overshadow the stuff that is just like, how do you sell amazing quality? Because everyone says their stuff is amazing quality. Sure. So how do you sell that in a way that's believable? But I can, show them the cover of Fecal Lands and they get I get that right away.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to bring up Fecal Lands. Like, that's actually kind of a fun hex crawl. I mean, the poop jokes and stuff aside, like, it's still good. It's still a good, like, fun, like, thing to run, and it's smartly done. And, a lot of, like, what you said in a recent video, kind of like encouraging people to write, like, take your two movies and your rule set, and don't
two favorite movies and your favorite RPG rule set, and that's your product.
Yeah. And he said, and what you said, something was really important, and I'm gonna take to heart personally, because it's really good advice. Don't bend the movies to the rule set. I think is what you said, and make
the rules to the movies.
Yeah. So the movie, so whatever those themes, that thing that you really like, and shine through, and that's actually what ends up happening in a lot of Lamentation stuff. Like, which is enough. Like, again, it's not just these dark themes and blah blah blah, or like these weird horrors. Is like interesting mechanics that are in there. Like Vornheim. When I picked that book up, I was looking at the cover, and I'm like, why are these numbered? What is this, a grid? And then you start reading, it's like, Zach did this thing where you can just flip a D4 and it tells you everything you need to know for this encounter, because the D4 is pointing to different sections of the book cover. Now, whether or not that's actually playable, I'll leave that to everybody else, but at least that's experimenting, and that's cool to me.
It's funny. I was joking with someone about the, pick your favorite two movies and your favorite role-playing game. So there's going to be someone out there that takes that to heart, and they're going to be like, yes, On Golden Pond, Sophie's Choice, and Toon.
All right, there. I'll just bring, because he's been courageous enough to challenge. Yeah. No business being anywhere near kids. Yeah, I guess. I mean,
well, it depends. Like 13-year-olds are kids, but in a lot of ways, this is stuff for teenagers thinking they're getting away with something. And that's going to be, and it depends on the kid. I mean, if a kid is looking for transgressive stuff, then it's all fiction. They're going to, if they get what they're looking for, maybe they'll go, and have a nightmare or two, but they're fine. forcing it on kids who don't want it would be a very bad thing.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
It again, definitely not for like 7-year-olds, but 13, 14, they're still kids. But if they're inclined to be, interested themselves in this sort of thing, I don't think this stuff is going to hurt them.
Yeah.
I mean, look at me. I was into all that sort of stuff as a kid. I turned out fine.
Yeah, I was into this stuff too. Like I cannot remember what Dean Koontz book it was, but it was the first time there was like some explicit sex description. I think it was like this older woman seducing like a 17-year-old who was very inexperienced apparently, or something like that. And I just remember it's like, whoa, does that stuff actually happen? But it didn't like screw me up or anything like that. And I remember, like just ingesting all these like violent horror movies because I liked horror. I like being scared. I like being in that. And the first time I saw Event Horizon, I thought someone like opened a portal to hell in using celluloid, right? And I just learned recently that there's actually the original cut was 130 minutes. And I'm like, holy crap, there was more.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, the funny Event Horizon, I remember I went to see it with my girlfriend at the time. And I knew nothing about the movie. I just knew spaceship. That's right. All I knew. And she suggested it. And she shows up at the theater with like a teddy bear. And I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, well, the movie. I was like, oh, okay. And then watching the movie, it's like, oh, this makes more sense now.
All right, I got to get to some of these comments I pinned real quick. Okay, so Cloaker going way back. Oh, hello. Can you show it? There we go. Flesh and Blood is very LotFP. Watch it. It's irredeemable. Yeah, that's got Rutger Hauer. I remember seeing it. It's like 1600s. It's like
Verhoeven's usually good.
Yeah. So I remember being like disturbed by it. And there was no like supernatural. It was just, 1600s. Worst time to be alive, I guess. All right. We actually have a Rumble rant. We have 5 people over at Rumble. Thanks, guys. P.S. Caglione, you're always here. Fantastic. Really appreciate the $5. What's the derivation of the name Lamentations of the Flame Princess? Where did it come from?
Okay, it was originally the name I used for my metal zine back in the 90s. I was dissatisfied with the heavy metal scene in the US at the time because it seemed very oriented towards brutal death metal. And I was, liking the more European melodic kind of death metal. Opeth, My Dying Bride, that had these poetic, flowy names. And Lamentations of the Flame Princess, I entered my mind after seeing some Finnish girl's website. and I couldn't understand any of the words or anything, but just she was like dressed in gothic clothing, red hair down to her butt. And I just created this mythology in my mind. So Lamentations of the Flame Princess. Made that the zine name to basically broadcast this isn't, blood and guts as far as a musical focus. And then when I started doing the role-playing stuff, it's like, well, this fits too. Okay. Why change?
On that note, so like we kind of talked a little bit about inspiration, but I always ask creators who are first time on the show, like, what's their, I usually wait till the end of the show, but now's a good time, but what's their personal appendix N, like Gary and Dave Arneson had theirs, their influence, the book's influence. Music seems to be one of your major influences. Where is there a connection between like the metal that you're into and like the work that you've been producing?
I don't. Well, like I'm going back to a lot of it is going back to the death metal roots, where it was the blood and guts, Cannibal Corpse stuff, because that definitely like I don't follow them in their albums these days, but that early stuff was definitely fundamental to my musical journey, to put it that way. Like I had to be there to get here. but these days, most of the stuff I love heavy metal, and I think the latest Dark Throne is like the best heavy metal album for ages. But then I also like more progressive, jazzy kind of metal that doesn't have strict structure and form, or doesn't have standard structure and form, I guess is a better way to put it. You know, things like what Blood Incantation's been doing. I did a top 10 albums of the year video where I talk for hours about this stuff. I just got the latest Neptunian Maximalism album, and that you know, a lot of, it's not even on Metal Archives. People don't consider it metal, but it's just like this dark jazz sludge kind of weird stuff. And yeah, it's just because it's that bug of okay, this is the stuff I know about, and that's freakier than what most people are listening to. So what's deeper than this? What's the next level down? What's the stuff that someone just created for the first time in their basement that no one has ever heard before? And if I can find out about it now, I get to have it in my life for longer. You know? And so it's just always searching. And it's like most of my free time is just searching for the more obscure stuff. And there's always more. Like Metal Archives just hit 200,000 bands in their database. And that's not including, like, I like some fusion and you know, and prog rock and things like that. So it's not even all metal. That's a life's work digging through that stuff, you know. And yeah, Black Jazz from The Shining is ridiculous. I saw them; they were in Helsinki last year before, and they performed that album. That was great. The comment, you know, Black Jazz album from The Shining. I got to see them perform that live just a year or two ago here in Helsinki. Yeah.
All right, real quick, I just want to say thank you to Snake Oil Sean. Just became a basic watchman. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Yeah, so I did want to follow up. You kind of touched upon a little bit, but so other than the heavy metal, is there any other styles of music? Like, do you have any guilty pleasures?
I think the guilty pleasure is just some of the more mainstream 80s stuff. Twisted Sister, Quiet Riot.
Yes. I grew up on Twisted Sister. Yeah. I love Twisted Sister.
I mean, the song Metal Health, it's like, yeah, okay, that's it. That still explains everything right there.
Yeah. Just for the record, my guilty pleasure is actually Southern California bubblegum punk. Yeah. So you went into this description of like looking at hunting for like the newest music. If switching back over to gaming, what do you look for when someone's like pitching something for Lamentations?
I'm just looking for the idea that makes something light up. That it's not really more specific than that.
You'll know it when you see it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've had a couple people, because I started my channel doing a lot of Lamentations, like reviews and deep dives, and a couple people actually in chat, they found me because of they wanted to learn more about Lamentations, and a couple of them, one guy, I was hoping he'd actually be in chat, actually sent me something. He's like, "Do you think Raggi would like this?" And I'm like, "I don't know." So I was hoping to get some insight. So I guess you'll know it when you see it, but would be safe to say that you'd rather see someone provide you with something that is honestly theirs rather than something that they think will make you happy?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's the best place to start, which is also more dangerous because then I'll have ideas because if it's something that's uniquely theirs, it's not going to fit neatly into what I'm doing. So the question is, do we find the edges of compromise where they still think this is their thing, and I'm still comfortable risking being able to pay my rent to produce it?
Right.
Yeah.
Real quick, I'm loving all the chats, comments about all the movies and combinations and whatnot. They're quite hilarious. Wibs, $2. This is the perennial question. It's almost become a running gag amongst fans of Lamentations. Thank you, Wibs.
I had the latest edits at the time. I brought them to North Texas. I brought them to GenCon for anyone that asked about it. I get to see, here it is as it exists. 10 cars stayed at the table for quite a bit, paging through it. So he's, my paranoid mind, he's wanting to make sure that it's not a $20 bill rolled around a bunch of ones. So he was looking through it for a while, so he'd be able to vouch that the thing is irredeemably late, but it is something that exists and is in process as a thing. So, the people have seen it. It still needs editing, but it's a thing that's, yeah. People have seen it.
It's real. It is real. It might happen.
Well, I think, the business guy in me is saying I think it'll be a big hit because a lot of people I talk to privately when we talk about game mastering and game master books, the first book they always mention is Gary's Gygax's AD&D first edition DM's Guide as being their number one go-to, and then number two is your referee book.
The old referee book is going to be included in full in the new one.
So yeah, I think that'll. If there's any incentive. So I think that'll definitely be a big popular book. Speaking of North Texas Con, I just wanted to give you a shout out. You won the Lamentations won the 3 Castles Award with Nebulith.
And last year won it with Disastrum.
Yes, both books are fantastic. I wanted to ask. Oh, go ahead.
Can I just say real quick?
Yeah.
For all you guys who didn't go to North Texas, I had cash in my hand that I handed to Mr. Raggi, and he handed me this book. And it is, me and Matt rail against like sort of the art dungeon, the unusable art game book. This is beautiful and usable and wonderful. And I cannot say enough good things about it. When I'm bored, I just pick it up and look at it. Thank you for helping to have this, for publishing this, whatever it was. Thank you. I like it very much.
And this is actually a really big compliment from Gary because he typically only picks up PDFs. So to actually have a physical copy, yeah.
Yeah, having too much physical property at all kind of freaks me out, and I start like selling things. But that is something that belongs on the shelf and will not be sold.
Yeah, the 3 Castles Award, because the committee is largely old TSR people, and so it's the people that made the stuff. Like one of the judges this year was Jeff Grubb, and I loved Marvel superheroes, played the hell out of Marvel superheroes, and he's on the committee that given Lamentations a big award, a major award in Christmas Story. But no, an actual thing. And it's like, there's something validating about that like somebody's noticing. It's because a lot of time it's just me here in this stupid room. And I'm doing the balance sheets. I'm doing all the business stuff, and then I'm creating and dealing with other people's stuff, and I'm packing orders, and it's a job. But then it's like the effusive praise you guys have been giving. It's like cool, and then there's like the legends of gaming, the people that came before me that are saying, you are the one. Like, okay, I'm not completely wasting my life here.
Well, you never know. I'm just kidding. No, it's funny that your game really does kind of it's always a topic of conversation.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's very few general gaming OSR conversations where Lamentations doesn't come up. You know, you'll be in the middle of a talk about games and someone's like, well, you know, Lamentations does this or Lamentations does that. And so you're definitely not wasting your time in the gaming world at all. I'm curious because you do, and I've been meaning to ask this all night, so I don't mean to derail everything. But of all the stuff that you've written and all the stuff everybody else has written, what I'd like is, what is the thing you've written that you're most proud of? And what is the thing that you've published, maybe that you haven't written, that you are the most proud of, that you think is really like, that has really contributed to gaming overall? I know. Well, I'm sorry. That's
the favorite thing I've published is probably Disastrum. Because the story behind that is great. I can tell that in a minute. But he's the one that really, Ezra really synthesized the idea of using a historical setting and fusing it with high weirdness. And it's done with such thoroughness and quality that it was literally written for me. Because the story of that is, what is it, 2017, 2018, I ran a contest that at GenCon, come pitch me your book. And I think I accepted, I said I was going to accept 2 pitches and I would give you $1,000 advance on the spot. And one of the projects ended up not working out. And but Ezra is one of the people that had a pitch for this Disastrum thing. And, I had everything written down. So on the Sunday, come back and find out if you were the guy. And I was like, okay, that's definitely one of the ones. So he comes back. It's like, hi, I had the pitch for the, I don't remember if he called it Disaster, but I had the pitch about the thing with Jamestown. I was like, oh, yes, you're the guy. You want to sign a contract right here, right now? And he's like, sure. So I count out $1,000 cash, put it in his hand, invite him to the booth, pick up the contracts, and then ask, so what's your name?
I met my wife. No.
And that's basically man. How I handle business. And that is for the better and definitely also for the worse. So, but that's, it felt like just something was happening. And yeah, and look what resulted.
I think it was great.
Yeah. Well, it won the Three Castles Award last year, right? So,
yeah.
And I love it. And I personally like it too, because you're, some years ago, people on like the Facebook, Lamentations Facebook page started talking about what would adventures look like in the States, the colonies. And so I'm enjoying seeing something that's like across the pond and not, in Europe or whatever. So, and what a really neat connection to like the Roanoke colony and all that stuff and all the disappearance and stuff. So it's cool. It's cool. Got a question from Cloaker, $5 super chat. Thanks, Brian. Being fearless as a creator sometimes means sacrifice from somewhere else. What have you had to lose to truly commit to Lamentations as a premium opus? That is a Brian question, if there ever was one.
He thinks he's getting this money back at North Texas.
Basically sacrificing the goodwill of the greater RPG industry and community. Because as I said, I've, been disinvited from participating in Free RPG Day. So much of my stuff gets rejected from drive-through these days. There's a lot of places you bring up Lamentations, that's like starting a fight where people will just go just out. and that's real.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. But the thing that I like is that you've stuck to it, right? Like
What else
you've
am I going to
been.
do? I mean, literally, what? Especially at this, I haven't had a normal job now in over 20 years, and that was on another continent.
Yeah, I
If
know
and
the
when this
feeling.
thing completely falls apart, I have no idea what I can do. It's like no
I,
clue. I've been
I'm
doing
kind of.
this. I've been doing this 17 years now. How do you then go to an office after this? I don't know. I hope it's like from the Dark Knight Returns, the bit where Alfred, blows up Wayne Manor and has a heart attack, and he thinks, "Oh, how fitting." That's what I hope happens if the business ever fails. Then I, as I realize, oh shit, I'm bankrupt, heart attack, done.
I missed a super chat from Atmos. Sorry, buddy. $10. Thank you, sir. Question for everyone. When you're writing something that you know will piss people off, how much of that is calculated and how much is just the natural result of following the idea?
It's a bit of both, because when you're filling out the idea, there's always the stuff that is the core idea and everything that the core idea is about. But then to make that work, to make it make sense in a greater context, you got to put all this filler stuff in and around it to make sure it properly flows as an adventure or a setting or whatever. And that, it's like the busy work of not quite the thing that got you excited. And so when you're doing I got to describe this house because people are going to go in this house and I got to describe it, that's when the actual mischief happens. That's not just the core idea, but it's just like, I got to do this boring part to make the thing a proper adventure. So now I'm going to get in trouble amusing myself during this boring bit of the writing. That's when the problem happens. For example, the hardcover freebie adventure, the one with the two guys in the hole in the ground.
Yes. Yeah, it's over on my shelf.
Yeah, there's little bits like when I had the idea of like the time jump to the bank robbery, and like there's little bits in there that aren't core concept, but it's just like, okay, the bit with the insane wizard. Is it the insane wizard that's like blowing the kids away, as hostages? And it's like, okay, I wrote that. I wrote that bit as graphic as I could, specifically to disgust and disturb the reader. It's like you could hand wave that because, like, one of the core concepts of Lamentations is Dungeons and Dragons changes drastically if you actually pay attention to what happens to a character in the game when their hit points go to 0.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's one thing to go, bang, you're dead. It's another thing to have the sucking chest wound and the screaming, and it's just where do you put the dial? On the
the in the core rule book, Lamentations, there is no death at 0, but you're moving about 10 feet around, whatever. And you're still kind of alive. You can be, recover from like -1, -2. And my favorite bit is at -4, it's instant death. -3, you roll a D10, and that's how many rounds you have as you bleed out, painful agony, and you can't be healed. It's like this little mechanic that was really just for flavor, and it sets so much up. There's no death saves here, son.
Yeah.
But I kind of a follow up on that. So, has there ever been something that you put together, that maybe you regret doing, or didn't quite work the way you thought it was going to work, or be received the way you thought it was gonna?
Lots of things don't work the way I thought they would, or they work. Obviously, it's a failure on me to explain how it should have worked, because once it's out in the world, people are doing their own thing with it.
Right.
And I'm thinking, well, that's not how I did it. The monolith from beyond space and time is the big one, because that experience was so weird, because I don't think I've played any adventure that I've ever released as much as the monolith from beyond space and time. Took it on the convention circuit before publishing it. So I had that down. And then I release it, and everyone's like, I don't know what to do with this. This is unplayable. I'm like, no, it literally is the most played thing I've done. What do you mean it's unplayable? It's like, But how do you describe a conceptual space in a game? That right. There's no physical location. It's just a conceptual space where you go wherever you want instantly. But you have to know that you can do that before you can do that. And so it's like, I don't know how I'd explain it any better, unless I just go on a rant or just have actual play logs or something. It's.
Do you ever, when you're writing, does any of your writing ever start with, I wonder if I could get away with, like, how much of your writing is sort of, I want to say almost experimental in nature? Like, I wonder what would happen if I did this or if I did that. Like, what would...
Let's talk about that. A week from Sunday. No, this one. No, seriously, this one. I'm advertising it. It's. I mean, the back cover: a dungeon with 50 keyed and described areas to place in your sandbox campaign, compatible with traditional fantasy role-playing rules, including Lamentations of the Flame Princess. This is one of those experimental LOTFP pieces, so caveat emptor. Hope I'm saying that right. I mean, it's right there. It's going to be in the text on the web store. And because most things that I do, or pretty much everything that I do, it starts with a core idea. What's the core experience I want the players to have, and then I just build everything out so that makes sense as a thing, and it builds out from there.
Okay, we got a quick super chat. I don't want to miss any more. $5 from Snake Oil Sean. Thank you very much, sir. Hail all. James, do you have any modern fantasy or sci-fi series, comics, TV shows, etc., that still inspire you in your work?
What counts as modern? I would think Torchwood's Children of Earth.
Ooh, that is a crazy answer. Like, I know that, I guess.
That came out. Well, what year did that
was 2000, like early 2000s, wasn't it?
Well, I think, wasn't Children of Earth might have been like right before, but I didn't get into Doctor Who until 2012. So, and then the Torchwood stuff a little bit after that. So that wasn't in mind. Yeah. Again, with Monolith, there was somebody that let me know right after it was published that, no, not when it was published, but when I was doing the play testing, that you've made an evil TARDIS. And I hadn't started watching Doctor Who yet, so I was like, okay. And then when I started watching it, it was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Modern TV, modern. Oh God, I've got, because the stuff I've been collecting, like Blu-ray stuff, is like old. It's all older stuff. Although I'm going downtown to pick up, hopefully it's still in stock, Hokum, the Damien McCarthy movie, because I really, really loved Oddity, his last movie. And so the Hokum, I'm hoping it's in stock, and I'm hoping it's really good. Gonna watch that today. But that's horror. That's not sci-fi. I don't know. What's come out? I don't know. Modern, I guess modern sci-fi. I guess the Christopher Nolan Interstellar, Tenet, and what's the other one? The one with Leonardo DiCaprio. Inception.
Oh,
Inception.
okay, yeah.
Yep.
I think those are really good. But again, those are like over 10 years old now.
There's been nothing good for
No,
like 10
Tenet's
years.
not quite that old, but yeah.
Yeah, there's been nothing good for 10 years, so it's not surprising to me.
That's not true. There are things that have been good.
There's been a few things.
Like what?
I'm not gonna name them. I'm just assuming there's been something good in the past.
I'll concede,
years.
but it'll be like a needle in a haystack, I think, to find something that's like truly. Another super chat. Atmos, $5, sir. Thank you very much. Are there ideas or projects you've been sitting on for years that you still want to get out? Have you had the window for some projects close? Good question, Atmos.
Yeah, one problem I'm trying to. You see, we've talked about this publicly, I think, but like Jonathan tweets Alamarja 1630, taking the setting of the Over the Edge game and transporting it back in time, and that's been in the can for a while. It's just because it's a setting, it's a campaign setting. I want it to have the same artist for the whole thing, so it seems like a cohesive whole.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's like 400 plus pages, and so that's a lot of art. And so getting all the, trying to get the financing and being able to commit to an artist, it's been hell. So it's been like a few years of that, and it's like shit. So that's one that I'm hoping to push. Hopefully Lost Carcosa goes well, so I can finally get an artist to just say, here's a big pile of money, please get this done, please.
So you're not opposed to like taking on someone's like, hey, I got this setting I'd like you to take a look at, and if it strikes your fancy, you're like open to it.
Yeah. Well, that's how the Yellow Book of Breckerwald.
Oh yeah,
He approached me with that, and that was like pretty much fully formed. And there's like a little bit in the back about how to connect it to, it's like just put this little paragraph back there to satisfy my needs. Otherwise, just you leave the rest alone. Yeah.
Another super chat from Matt Tapp over at Barrels and Borderlands. $9.99. What's your thoughts on sandbox play, domain play, and mega dungeons from a playing and a refereeing standpoint? A lot of Lamentation modules support a wide variety of play styles. Curious to what you enjoy. Excellent question. I wanted to transition over to your game style, so this is perfect. Thanks, Matt.
My game style when I'm running things is basically adventure of the week. But then everything that I do, anything that I run these days, it's with an eye towards, am I going to publish this? Mega dungeons. The trick with a mega dungeon is how do you keep it fresh and interesting going into the same hole for a whole campaign? That to keep the variety that a game needs to have to keep people coming back week after week after week after week. Suddenly this mega dungeon. I've never seen a mega dungeon done to where it's, I don't know what the word is, like thematically, or it's like thematically coherent, but also has such a wide variety of possible experiences within it that let's dedicate an entire campaign for years going into the same dungeon. It's like I'm not against them. I'm not against the idea in theory. I'm not like, oh, mega dungeons, no. It's just that's a lot, man. That's a lot. I don't. It's like Better Than Any Man was like, even Better Than Any Man has just like weird stuff stuck on, like the Infinite Tower being stuck in Better Than Any Man. It's like, well, what's that doing there? That's weird. Yeah. Domain play. Again, I think that's out of my wheelhouse. And then sandbox at work. I mean, because basically what a sandbox is, if it's any good, because if it's just a sandbox where you're just randomly exploring, randomly generated terrain with random encounters and random, that I don't like, because that's just kind of pointless. Like your entire game's procedurally generated, but people generally don't do that. But when you decide that, okay, here's the sandbox territory, and I'm going to put my own creations here, and maybe throw in a few, purchased adventure modules and place them here, there. That's the ideal.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're not telling the players, this is what we're playing today. They're choosing where to go. That's the absolute ideal.
I tend to agree. I'm seeing Atmos made a comment about how to make mega dungeons. You have factions and this, that, and the other thing. What you see a lot of people talk about in the OSR. Whether it's on a YouTube or on a blog. Mm-hmm. I'm just curious about your take, generally about theory crafting versus actual play. Do you think some of the stuff that's out there is just ivory tower sort of nonsense when they're talking about design and whatnot, and is there something more practical that should be focused on when it comes to designing, or is it all good? Is it all just part of the
conversation? It's not all good. It's
I meant that more in I don't know what I meant, but
well, like there's nothing wrong with theory crafting and experimenting, but there is a difference between supposing something and has this worked.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose, because there are some weird people out there, anything can work, but has it worked? Have you figured out how to make this strange idea work? That's one of the reasons why, like, for my recommendation, your 2 favorite movies in your favorite game system. So to make that adaptation, you're creating, through the synthesis of doing the things, you're creating something new, but you're not reinventing any wheels. I think why, because I had tried designing my own role-playing games at various points in my life, but it's only until the OSR, and you think, oh, just freaking use D&D, okay, and not worry about the system, that anything worked. Because I'm interested in new subsystems, and here's an idea to tack on, but like the basics of creating a full role-playing game from the ground up, I have no interest. None. But I've tried to do that a few times, and it's never worked, never gotten anywhere, because that's not the part of this whole thing that I want to do.
I hear that. I sort of feel like that's like a brass ring. Everyone wants to do that. I just want to play games and write cool shit. but Gary, you had a comment.
Well, actually, I have a question. We got about 15, 20 minutes left of the thing. And one of the things I've been really curious about is Mr. Raggi, I consider you, I don't know, it's like what you're doing is closer to art than I think most role-playing games. And what I'm curious about is we talk about theory and mechanics and does this work and how many turns and yada, yada. In your head, when you're designing something, are you tapping into this sort of artist mode, or is it craftsman mode? Is there a split? What do you consider yourself? Are you an artist or a game designer, craftsman?
Excellent question.
Because, like I say, if you believe you're just a craftsman, then I believe you bring more artisanship to your games than most people would ever consider. And so I'm just curious how you see yourself.
Well, like I'm not really a game designer because I just said I just use D&D.
But you are designing. I mean, there are things in your modules. You know, the thing is that the rules, those little mechanic changes inform the world, right? In fact, in a lot of ways, they define the game world that we're playing in. So with just a few changes that you've made, it becomes Lamentations.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Well, that's I think that part is craft. But as I said, when I sit down to write something or when I finally find something that I'm going to sit down and actually write, it starts with the core kernel of what experience do I want the audience to have. And you go anywhere on social media or message boards, you have people that they don't know what they want to do. So they ask, would anybody be interested in this? How many people are interested in that? Does this kind of thing have an audience? It's like it's not coming from them to make a thing that they believe in and then see how it does. So if you contrast what I do and what they do, then I'm the artiste. But I guess I mean in some ways anybody doing actual creative work, I guess small a artist, I don't know, but I'm starting with it's like what's the thing I want to express, what's the thing I want people to experience. And I guess if there's any artistry, it's in creating that, and then the actual sitting down and writing and making the usable thing is craftsmanship. But yeah.
Well, I think you bring a lot of artisanship to things. In fact, I would say that you are art makes people talk and disagree and engage, and good art causes friction.
Yep.
And I believe that it's these someone looks at something and says that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and somebody else is like, "Fuck, are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And
this thing really pisses me off, and
this thing really pisses me off. And I just think that out of everybody we've talked to on this show and all the game designers that we've met and going to all the cons and looking at everything, like I walk past there most things and I go product. It's all a bunch of guys who don't want to get a real job. And which I understand, dude. I get it. I haven't had a real job in like 20 years, just like you. I am so frightened I'm going to have to go fill out a job application someday. I'm qualified for nothing. But you do bring a certain level of artisanship that I really wish a lot, not just the third party guys, not just the independent guys, but all the way up to WotC. If WotC just had like one drop of courage, right? Just one drop of something, they could be so much better. But it's almost like you have it all, right? It's like Lamentations has all the balls. You know what I mean? Sorry, that's a compliment. I promise it is.
Everyone, I just want to point out, everyone expected me to be like squealing, like, "Oh, James is here," and here, Gary is just gushing.
Well, here's the thing, Matt. We have a talk all the time. We talk about things like the art in the book.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
We're talking about actual pictures. But how many books do we read where how many games do we see where it's like this game is something more? You know what I mean? The ideas are better. They are transcendent, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I have a lot of respect for what you're doing. And I think you're bringing an aspect of, I think you're one of the few people who are following through on a certain aspect of the gaming scene that was lost sometime in the 90s, probably. You know, I can't put my finger on it, but at some point it became a business and everything is just a product.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing that. And thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, that's probably part of like the nostalgia aspect of the OSR, to go back to those early days when it was just a flurry of people creating random shit, you know, and like throwing their pamphlets together. You know, Professor DM, I said, he says this a lot, and not that I really listen to him all that much anymore, but he does say, like, this is an analog hobby, and I do agree with that. Like, the hobby really just exists at the table. That's why I get a kick out of people who, that ivory tower mentality. So it's just like, well, I'm glad you found the thing that you like and you're going to scream it from the rooftops, but you're just limiting yourself by not, having the courage to experiment. And, one of the reasons why I've been such a flag waver is every time I pick up a product, whether it's, Zarkov Kowalski's stuff is going to have that Lamentations vibe, but it's going to be very different from Kelvin Green, very different from yours, very different from Zach, but there's like this common like vibe. That's the only way I can put it. And part of that is that courage to experiment. And that's what I really like the most. And I just saw the chat light up with a bunch of stuff. So let me get to this real quick.
Yeah. Well, what you're saying is like, for the different authors that work on Lamentations stuff, I consider it their books. Like Zach's books are Zach's books. Kelvin's books are Kelvin's books.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of, Kelvin at this point, he's writing stuff that he knows what I like. So he just has to come up with the idea that he likes that will fit with me. But like with Zach, there's always some conversation back and forth. It's like, well, how do we make this fit into Lamentations? And like he went, he went public with some of the complaints. Like for Nebulith, the project was originally conceived of by Alex Hobson, who wanted to highlight Okinawan culture, and because he lives there and he thinks it's neat. And so, but Zach isn't interested in like everyday people stuff in a setting. He's there for the adventure stuff. That's the important thing in a game book. But I thought it was important to have more details about how the normal people in this setting live, given what the original idea of doing this was. And so he had made a few posts in different places about that was his least favorite part of the project, but it's just, I think it was important that it's in there. And then I get to take no credit for absolutely anything else in the book, but that little bit's because of me.
Is it you being the creative person that you are and the people that write for you being the creative people that there are, is there a lot of headbutting in the production phase when somebody's doing something? Or
well, sometimes.
Yeah.
I won't give details, but it got pretty heated with Nebulith because there were basically 3 creators and then me, the publisher, who didn't always have the same ideas of how certain aspects should be. And what happens when you have, 4 people, you can have like 2 different factions. And it's like I'm discussing with the designer what certain things about the book are going to look like. And then the writers are like, no, don't like that. And it's just like, well, we just spent 2 hours discussing this. Why weren't you in on that discussion? Why are you?
Well, that's the thing is a lot of when you look at collaborative art, like music, where you've got a band and a producer and everything else, you find when you read about the making of, there is a lot of friction sometimes in the best things, So I was just curious, and I think it's really, I kind of see you as a ringmaster almost. All right, guys, and you pick some really unruly folks, right? Like their opinions are very strong, and I just imagine that might be a difficult thing to be in the middle of sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, at GenCon, there were a number of writers, like freelance writers, trying to find work. Oh, well, if you need a writer, here's my card. And I'm just looking at that, and it's like, I don't know anything about these people, but if I do approach any of them, it's like, I get a wild hair up my ass. Let's try this new person. And it's like, okay, I'm going to ask, what ideas do you have? I'm not going to say, here's what I need from you. It'll be,
Right.
what ideas do you have? And some people get really like, what? That's so we'll see. And then I notice in the chat they're talking about how uncomfortable I am when I'm being complimented. It's only certain types of compliments. Like if you say, "Oh, Mr. Raggi, I like your work," I'll be like, "Cool, that's not a problem." But the idea, "Oh, you're an artist who's doing it," is just like, okay.
Well, Mr. I will say this. I think you're bringing an artistry into the gaming scene that people left behind.
Yes.
At some point.
Yeah.
And I think you're helping to foster that. And that's what I appreciate the most.
Yeah.
So.
And yeah, when I'm preaching Lamentations, that word comes up a lot. And I've asked, and Gary beat me to it. I wanted to ask you, do you think this is like an art form of itself? And I've asked like Miguel Ribeiro of the Red Room, because he has a kind of a similar mindset as you. Do you think you're doing art? He actually said no. He's like, no, I'm just designing games. No, I'm just designing games. So I was just interesting. I just wanted to. It was interesting your answer. So, but I got some stuff, super chats and stuff I got to talk about here. Okay. Another $5 from Atmos. Thank you. Do you run into any logistical issues running a small press out of Finland to a primarily English-speaking audience?
The main problem is that less than 5% of my customers are in Finland, so there is an expense to reach the people. Whether it's people buying stuff for me, having to pay the shipping costs for stuff out of Finland, or me, the cost of getting on the plane to go to like GenCon. I think that's more of a big deal than most people that are exhibiting at GenCon. Otherwise, all of the problems I have would be problems elsewhere. Like I've had tax issues, really this past year, but that's something that the things that I've tripped over there are very similar to the rules in the US. So I would have been having the same issues in the US. It's basically, when you buy, let me explain real quick. Like say I have 1,000 books printed and I pay the money out for those books. To me, that's cash out the door, but the tax office doesn't see that really as an expense because I now have assets. So if those books remain unsold, I'm out the money, but it's sort of like that's taxable. Roughly, it's like that. I've run into issues there. I'm getting through it though. It's at this point just a pain in the ass, not existential threat.
Well, that's better. Pain in the ass is better,
yeah.
I think. Snake Oil Sean gifted 5 memberships. Expert Watchman, thank you very much, sir. I also saw you your little rain emojis. Yes, you are. You're making it rain, and we really appreciate it. I'll just take a quick moment. Yeah, memberships. If you're on Discord, you'll have first dibs on games that we're running. If you're of the companion level, you'll actually get to be part of like the behind the scenes conversation. So get in the chat, and we will be doing members only streams in the future. We just have yet to schedule them. So, but we're getting around to it.
Talked about that. What members only? What? Sorry, go ahead.
No, we have. We just haven't. We're getting there. Okay.
This is the bigger tier on OnlyFans.
Hey, if you join our OnlyFans site,
look at the beefcake that's on this screen. Holy shit.
Bro, y'all don't even know.
And then Robert Stan, $2. Just tell me to go. No, you're one of our longest fans here, and we love seeing you here, buddy.
Now that the sunrise has happened and the lights
look at that. No, the light has come in.
Yeah.
Just imagine how pasty everything would get if I took my shirt off right now.
There's been comments. I
know. I got to be in a certain very weird mindset to be doing that stuff, though. Because, oh, God, because it's that originally, like, the very first video I ever did was me just in shorts, just, outside. Because when I decided I want to do YouTube stuff, it's like, okay, I'm going to be a fat guy in the internet. And I really started, like, I did some stuff years back, just like basic promo stuff. But when I decided I was going to be doing the YouTube channel, this was already after the controversies had really hit. And it's like, okay, I'm going to be fat man on the internet. I'm really self-conscious about this. How do I defeat that? Fuck it, clothes off. Here I am. We all have to deal with it.
Matt, I don't even remember what the conversation was, but I remember he was talking about Lamentations. I'm like, are you talking about the half-naked dude in the snow? He was like, yeah,
all the way naked.
Yes,
and the thing about doing that is that we're just out in a field next to a walking path. And it's fine when you got the adrenaline going and you're on camera and you're going to be naked take the clothes off, naked in the snow. And then the person holding the phone, that's how we shot that, says cut. And then you got to turn around and there's people on the walking trail looking at you and the adrenaline's worn off and you're naked and you got to walk back to where your clothes are. Oh, God. That's awful. Oh, God.
Couple last minute super chats here. $2 more from Robert. May God bless you. Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you very much, man. We really appreciate your support. You've been here since the beginning, and we really do appreciate it. Go ahead.
Real quick. I know we're going to get out of here really quick, and we're going to have the last question, all that good stuff. But I just want to remind everybody, we got merch. Buy shit.
Yes.
Because I haven't bought my ticket to North Texas yet, and we haven't got our hotel rooms yet. So get a hoodie, get a t-shirt, get a coffee mug. I don't care. Buy some stuff. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I set that up a while ago, and I'm really bad at advertising and stuff. Yeah, a lot of my live streams, just a quick live streams and the first look videos that we're doing, I turn off monetization. So we get a lot of viewers who or listen to this after the fact, so they don't get interrupted by any kind of ads. And the first look stuff that we're doing, that's about those creators. It's not about us. So we don't make any money from those, but not that we make a lot of money anyway. But what we do get is the support from you with memberships and the super chats. And yes, we do have a fourth wall merchandise store. Go get your second watch stuff if you're so inclined. All right, enough of that. $5 from Snake Oil Sean. Hail, James. Any thoughts on Free League and their line of products located nearby in Sweden?
Well, the past few years over there, because I go to GothCon every year over Easter weekend, the Gothenburg convention. And they're the big deal there, but there hasn't been like a common sales room in a few years. So I'm just stuck because it takes over a school for the weekend. And so I'm just stuck in a classroom with a couple other publishers. So I don't have a lot of contact with them. I'm not chummy with them. And I'm not familiar with their original work, but I know they do a lot of licensing work. And the only question I'd have about that, are they doing that because there's somebody there that really loves and wants to make a certain game, that wants to deal with the property, so gimme so I can do this? Or is it just business? Oh, Alien's available. Let's grab that. That will be profitable product. It's like I have no concept of what their mentality is as far as that goes. And that's how I would judge them, basically.
Right on. And we got
business-wise, they obviously know what they're doing, though.
Yeah, I think they're kind of like a dark horse amongst a lot of the, I like what they're doing overall, but yeah, I think that's a good point. The Walking Dead game I thought fell short, but anyway, $2 super chat again from Robert. Thank you, sir. Selfishness is troubling, potentially, but we're happy that you're here, sir. Oh, and geez, man, another $20. Thank you. Take care, dude. Please have a great weekend. We absolutely love your support. Thank you very much. Oh, hey, here's a good one from Wibbs. Will James do more game system reviews? We loved his review on Morkborg.
Well, I just posted, was it yesterday, day before, I did a record review, and I've done movie reviews, and I should do more. But the difficult thing about doing game reviews is, number one, any negative review I give is going to seem catty. It's going to seem I'm doing that just to make myself seem better. So just going in, there's that, can I really be honest without someone saying I've got ulterior motives for this? Number two, I'm taking all of my inspiration from outside of role playing. It's like I'm not really buying games. Like I'll buy some OSR stuff occasionally because that could be relevant to a game I'm playing. But it's like I'm not checking out the new systems because again, the how to roll the dice part of it isn't the important part, isn't the interesting part to me. So checking out what people are doing mechanically and whatever. Yeah, and I'll walk around when I go to these conventions, I'll walk around and see what everyone's doing. And for the most part, the vast majority, no matter what genre it is, it all feels the same. It's all the same sort of, we're going to make it fun for you. And it's going to be easygoing and happy fun time games. Which is really weird when someone's obviously doing they're doing something Lovecraftian, but it's cutesy. And it's just like, what are you doing? But it's not like going to like a record fair, I guess, where it's like, here's the guy that's got all the prog stuff, and there's the guy that's got the jazz stuff, and there's the guy that's the metal stuff, and oh, look at your 80s pop favorites over here, where everything is just so different, and it's all there. So much of and again, maybe this is unfair because I'm not reading all this material, but just looking at how the booths are presenting themselves, it all feels really homogenous just walking around. Like so many of you could just consolidate because you're not doing anything different from each other.
I've had this thing where since me and Matt started the show, I've had so many people come up to me and say, Gary, you got to write. Now's your time to publish. You have an audience, just do it. And I'm like, I don't think I have the cool idea. Like, I don't want to be just like everybody else. I want to come up with something really badass instead of just writing another module, another dungeon, another product. So anyway, sorry. I don't know where that came from. I might be drinking. My bad.
No, well, I actually agree. I think a lot of the stuff out there is kind of same old, same old. There's definitely people with passion. I've met people like really into Dungeon Crawl Classics, and they have this really great module that they put together, and it looks fun, and they're passionate about it. But but like I said, a lot of people, anybody can put together Goblin Warren, but every once in a while you do find something that's interesting and different. And but I do agree with you, generally speaking. But we are
watch it. Yeah, I get to go to bed.
Yeah, well, yeah, we're at the 2-hour mark. James, thank you so much for giving us your time. And I know it's super early. You've been up late, and we definitely appreciate that.
7:30 in the morning here now.
top of the morning to you, right? You got to go get breakfast or something.
Push through, man. You can do it.
Well, hour and a half until the semifinals of the G1 Climax tournament from New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Grab a cup of coffee. But chat, you guys have been great. Great questions. As always, we appreciate you. The super chats, everything. Next week, we're going to experience some true horror. I'm actually going to be on vacation. I'm going to be handing over the reins to Gary and Brian. Chat, I'm going to need you to keep them on task. So please. Yeah, see, it's already
burn this motherfucker down, bro. Give me the codes. I'm launching the nukes, brother. It is on. You thought you had built a channel that was solid with a solid. It's done.
It's over.
We're
so
done.
I might be in chat for a little bit on Friday. I might be a little inebriated by a fire at the time, but yeah, anyway. So anyway, guys, thank you so much. James, thank you. Everyone have a great weekend, and our watch has ended. Take care, everybody.
Good night, everybody. See you next week. You know, Cloaker's on all kinds of pain meds.
Right I know. Now. It's going to be crazy next week. It's going to be nuts.